Yes,
Okay,
sir.
microphones are on. Tape is on.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Sunshine Law. Notice of time, date, and place has been furnished to the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News. Notice has also been posted on the bulletin board in the administration building. Would the clerk kindly take the roll?
Mayor Giordano.
Here.
Ms. Sarah Cola Drake.
Here.
Mr. Marnello.
Here.
Mr. Raimondo.
Here.
Mr. Ritchie.
Here.
Mrs. Weber.
Here.
Everyone kindly rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's have a moment of silence for all Waldwick veterans and all veterans across the country who have given the ultimate sacrifice to serve our country, some not coming home, so that we could assemble as we are today and live in a free country. Amen. Clerk, please do the prayer.
Dear Lord, we start this meeting asking for your guidance and wisdom. May we find unity and fairness, the outcome to reflect our wishes to assist the borough in all their endeavors. Thank you in his name. Amen.
Amen. Good evening, everyone, and under my report, just a couple of items. Last Thursday, I attended the Hope Christian Service Breakfast in Wyckoff. We have a home here in Waldwick that is right across the street from the high school that houses 6 young women. And it's a yearly event that they invite the mayor and council to come out, and they thank us for allowing their people or their community to come into our community. Also, I attended a Chamber of Commerce meeting last Wednesday, and other than that, on last Wednesday also, I attended the Sewer Authority meeting. Nothing to report on that, but if you have any questions, you could ask me, and I'll give you any details you need to know. That's all I have to report. Financial and Administrative Committee, Mr. Ritchie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you. Welcome to I think we're going to introduce the budget this evening. So, so it's great to have so many people here to listen to that. I will hold my comments on the budget until we go through it. I did just a couple comments on that. I did email the Finance Committee this weekend. I really do hope in the future we can present to you slides. I think as over the years I've watched introduction of budgets, it's very difficult. I can see you trying to grasp what we're saying, kind of comprehend things that's going on, but with nothing in front of you, it's very difficult. So I do think if we can, when we maybe adopt the budget, at the next meeting, maybe we can do, pull the projector down, have some slides, put something together, and then in future years, I think we should be giving committee reports with those, slides and kind of guides for the public. But we will be going through it today. High level, it's a tough year. As I've said, we have a revenue issue in this town, and we need to address it. So. A couple weeks ago, I reached out to the Finance Committee and I said, hey, we should meet after we pass this budget every 3 weeks to review what is our non-tax revenue items, how do we help to get them to grow, what are some new ideas. We need all hands on deck here because the budget's it's in a tough spot. So we will be calling those meetings starting in May. I think input from everybody in council, from the public, from all of our employees, there's no bad ideas in this environment. So I'll be looking forward to giving updates on those, and hopefully we can make recommendations to the council. Obviously, it's a subcommittee, so we don't draw policy or pass policy there, but we can make recommendations. So I look forward to that process. And again, I'll hold the rest of my comments on the budget until we introduce it. That's my report this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Fire and Police Protection Committee, Mr. Brennick's not here, and he didn't give no report. He'll make a report at the next meeting that he is here at. Public Safety Committee, Ms. Sarah Cola Drake.
Thank you. Not many updates. They'll give me a comprehensive update at the end of the month. But WALVEC has been reaching out to local clubs and businesses to share awareness about the organization and the services they provide. They're also offering hands-only CPR training to any clubs or businesses that are interested. They're working with the library to reestablish the hands-only CPR training program that was run in 2024 by John, and finalizing a date in the coming weeks, so I'll keep you all posted. Thank you.
Recreation and Health Committee, Mr. Monello.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few items for reminders tonight. Waldwick Baseball Association registration is still open. There are over 410 kids We never turn kids away, so it's never too late to register. You can go to waldwickbaseball.sportengine.com. We take pre-K through 8th grade. Great numbers this year. We thank our local sponsors once again for coming out to support the teams and their banners on the field. Great response so far there. And the golf outing is coming up on April 10th, which is sold out. It's going to be a great event for the association. And looking forward to opening day, April 26th. Hopefully a lot of you can come out and take a look at all the work that has been done down at the facility this year. It's really in great condition, probably the best it's been in decades. I want to thank the DPW for bringing some machines down for us to dump some leaves in over last weekend, and for dropping some much-needed topsoil down there, which helped the volunteers. We all spread them last week, so it was a great event, team-building exercise. We thank the Waldwick High School boys and girls softball and baseball teams for coming out and helping. That's a way for them to pay back to the community that supported them over the years. Now they get a chance to pitch in and help the community out. Waldwick Soccer, their registration for the rec program for the fall is open. You can go to www.waldwicksoccer.org to register. And a couple of health items. We have a blood pressure screening, the Lions blood drive on April 11th from 4 to 8 p.m. at the Legion on Franklin Turnpike. And also our pool registration opens on April 1st. And also one other item, the annual Easter egg hunt from the PBA happens on April 12th at 10 a.m. Great event for all the little kids to come out. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Public Works Committee, Mr. Raimondo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I spoke with Superintendent Latour, gave me several updates regarding some of the waterworks items that were done. They were working on some of the loops and reopening them, as well as doing several valve changes over the weekend on overtime. Saturday they did several items. One was in regards with the school. And then they started spring sweeping, so they're starting to do the annual spring sweepings of the streets, and they started all the borough properties and the spring cleanups, and they'll be continuing to do that so that they're up and ready for the rest of the springtime. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Buildings and Grounds Committee, Mrs. Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The fire suppression system at the Public Safety Building is still ongoing. We had an incident at one of our wells, at Well 5. The roof was damaged by a downed tree. That's being taken care of. Also, the DPW did a walkthrough at the borough pool to identify some areas that were in need of updating. They're going to take care of some of the office areas and also the restrooms. On Friday, March 14th, myself, Borough Administrator Mr. Neal, and Councilman Raimondo met with a gentleman by the name of Kurt Springstead at the signal tower that's over by the train tracks here. And Steve is working with the county to get a grant going for them to repair the outside, the exterior of that location. Also, we had on March 12th, we had a safety meeting with the Board of Ed to discuss the retired police officers in the school, the SLEOs, and there's more to come on that as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the waterfront, we encourage residents to continue reporting using our online form. We've had a lot of success with that so far. Every email blast, every social media post, we get a few more that come in every time. I just want to note we're up to about 100 total complaints since last fall. So we are tracking that, and we're working with our engineering firm H2M on the hydraulic study and tackling the discoloration issue. So more to come on that soon. Traffic safety, hope you saw there's 2 new blinking crosswalks were installed on Crescent Ave near the school and one on East Prospect near the library, which are great. We were happy to see those go in. We're actually planning to get at least 2 more near the other schools at different locations this year once the budget's passed. And continue to work with PD on evaluating different traffic patterns near Traphagen. So we actually have a meeting set up next week with our traffic engineer and the police department to come up with a plan for the September start of the new school year. And then lastly, actually I'll talk a little bit about the bus shelter. You might have seen some work being done over at the bus shelter. It is being demoed right now. We're going to reuse some of the bollards, and we're actually going to reuse this shelter that's out here that was abandoned by New Jersey Transit, and we're going to relocate that shelter out by Route 17. It's obviously not in a great location, so we're hoping to put it in a much safer spot. We had a spot picked out, but we actually have to change locations again. So hopefully more to come on that soon, but we are moving ahead with that project and hopefully have something in place within the next month or so. And then lastly, we're going to dive into the budget a little bit more, so I'll save the rest of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Borough Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. First on the agenda, just wanted to mention we have 2 social affair permits that are up for your consideration. One is for the Waldwick Community Alliance for their annual car show, and the other is for Gear Block Brewing Company, and that's for their anniversary weekend. We also have 2 raffle licenses, one for Waldwick Fire Department and one for Waldwick Baseball Association for your consideration. They've met all the requirements, and we also have approval from the state. I just want to remind everybody that April 16th is the deadline for change of party affiliation declaration forms, which are available on our website. We've issued 877 dog licenses to date. Alarm and tenant registrations continue to come in. With regards to the calendar, I just want to urge residents to look at their 2025 calendar for the recycling pickup schedule, as well as deadlines to schedule bulk, heavy metal, and electronics pickup. There's also a digital version on our homepage of the 2025 calendar, so you can also look at it there. The March monthly newsletter will be coming out this Friday, and I will be attending the MCA-NJ conference in Atlantic City from April 8th to the 10th. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Confidential assistant.
Thank you, Mayor. I had mentioned last meeting that I would be reporting to the council some of the numbers that we're seeing on the EV charging stations that were installed by the borough in May of 2024. We've had good success with them, especially given our location off of Route 17. It's a convenient place for people to stop to do their charging when they're in the area or coming through from, other states. In December, the borough did, and what we're looking at is what the PSE&G costs are to run these EV stations with the usage and what we bring in, and then we take out the charge for the company that, that manages the program. But we've had some great success. In December, we were able to bring in $2,214.46. January, that went up to $3,038.08. And then in February, we looked at $1,861.33. Usage is pretty good so far for March. We'll see how we end there. I don't have the PSE&G bill yet for that time period. But again, a good successful program for the borough. And we're happy to have that in town, available to residents and like I said, available to people who are coming through the area. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Borough Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only item I have, we're still waiting on the numbers from the PFAS litigation as to what our base scores translate to into dollar values. So as soon as we have that, we'll pass it on. That's all I have for this. I do have one item for a closed session for litigation updates.
Okay, and no decision being made?
No decisions.
Okay. Consent resolutions and resolutions of the governing body.
Be it resolved that the following resolutions herewith listed by consent, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Waldwick, are hereby passed and approved. 2025-107, approval of consent. 2025-108, approval of minutes, regular and business meeting, January 28, 2025. Policy votes. A, Elizabeth Byrne, 43 Highwood Ave, requests to replace existing wooden fence with a vinyl fence around the entire back of property over the borough easement, as per her email of March 14, 2025, and to include all fence post holes must be hand dug over the easement. No auger can be used. B, Environmental Committee requests to hold a townwide cleanup on Saturday, April 12th from 11 to 1 p.m. C, Waldwick United Methodist Church requests to hold a fish and chips dinner on Saturday, April 26th from 5 to 7, as detailed in their March 1st letter. D, Waldwick Fire Department requests to use the bay of Fire Company Number 1 to host the raffle drawing on June 21st, 2025. E, Waldwick Community Alliance requests waiver of fire inspection fees for the food service providers in connection with the WCA annual car show on June 1st, 2025, with a rain date of June 8th, 2025. Waldwick Education Foundation requests to hold a townwide garage sale on Saturday, April 26th and Sunday, April 27th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and a waiver of garage sale permit fees for those residents that participate in the WAF Townwide Garage Sale fundraiser. G, Superstar Tennis requests to amend their February 11th policy vote to rent 2 tennis courts at Veterans Park from May 26th to May 28th to Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 to 7 p.m. at the cost of $1,500 per court. Just a reminder that their previous vote was for Tuesdays and Thursdays that you did approve. 2025-109, approval of social affair permit for the Waldo Community Alliance Annual Car Show, June 1st, with a rain date of June 8th. 2025-110, approval of social affair permit for Gear Block Brewing Company for April 25th through the 27th. 2025-111, approval of raffle license 2025-01 for the Waldo Fire Department. 2025-112, approval of raffle license 2025-02 for the Waldo Baseball Association. 2025-113, approved temporary emergency appropriation. 2025-114, approval of temporary capital budget amendment. 2025-115, payment of vouchers.
Do I have a motion and a second to accept? Motion by Mr. Saracola Drake, second by Mr. Martinello. Anyone on the question? Yeah.
Just one question, on the Superstar Tennis, are they changing the dates or adding dates?
No, they're changing,
That's what- okay.
yeah, they're just changing. You approve Tuesdays and Thursdays, they would rather have Mondays and Wednesdays, which is actually better, I think.
Probably.
Because later in the week, residents are going to want to use it,
Yeah,
so.
that's what I was going to ask, if it's not interfering with residents or anything like that.
No, I think it's actually better.
Probably
And how
is better.
how about the high school tennis team practices schedule? Do we know? what it
That's,
is?
Their request
The-
is for
is
after
after.
their season ends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Anyone else?
I have a question for the attorney. Do I need to recuse myself from 2025-111 and item D as they pertain to the fire department?
Fundraising.
If it's fundraising, I just don't want to put myself in a bad position.
For
D and 2025-111 for the approval of the license for the Waldwick Fire Department.
No, you'll be okay with those because those are general votes on the entire,
But it's for the benefit of the fire department, which I'm a member, I just want to make sure.
But
Sure.
does the money that's raised there go towards
Goes to the
anything
fire
that you get a
department.
financial benefit from?
Goes to the back room, yes.
Well, then yes, you would.
What about, well, Michelle, she doesn't benefit, her husband does.
If it's a family member, it's, you have to recuse
Okay.
yourself. Yep.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anyone else? Clerk, please take the roll.
Ms. Saracola Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
I will recuse on the baseball item for 2025-112 and approve the rest.
Mr. Raimondo?
I will recuse from D and 2025-111, but yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
I'll have to recuse myself from D as well, and for the 2025-111, but everything else, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one public hearing. Would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2025-02?
Ordinance number 2025-02, an ordinance to amend Chapter 48:87-7 of the Code of the Borough of Waldwick swimming pool municipal fees.
Anyone from the council would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read?
Yes, please. Thank you. So after reflecting on this recommendation proposed by Councilman Raimundo at the last meeting, I believe that the amendment to this ordinance was done in haste and required a more thoughtful analysis. So all of us received a letter from the resident, and after meeting with this resident, I agree with a lot of the issues that she raised. So most importantly, we didn't do a financial analysis on how offering free memberships would impact revenue, which is concerning given that the pool already operates at a deficit. Asking taxpayers to shoulder an even greater financial burden without a clear plan for offsetting costs is not responsible. I'd love to give our municipal employees everything under the sun because of how wonderful they are, but I don't think it's fiscally responsible to be throwing things into this budget at the last minute. With a proposed 3.5% tax increase already on the table, I don't think we can afford to add additional expenses that will exacerbate our financial challenges. So in light of these concerns, I propose that we remove this fringe benefit from the ordinance and ensure that we remain fiscally responsible.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I apologize, I wasn't here during the meeting when it was introduced, but I wholeheartedly agree with my colleague. Yeah, I think she said it perfectly, so I agree.
Anyone else?
Yeah, and unfortunately, after getting the audit report back this week and seeing what the increase was going to be for the taxes and the items that we had to cut out of the budget, which we'll go over in more detail later, I agree with, I don't think we should be giving away any other fringe benefits if we want to keep in things like raises and things like that for our employees. I think those are more valuable than giving away a pool membership at this point. Maybe it's something we could look at for next year if the financial condition improves.
Anyone else?
Yes, may I comment? A, it wasn't done in haste. B, you seem to have financial, you're saying that this increased the budget significantly. Do you have the numbers, Mike?
I did not say it increases the budget significantly.
All three you did.
No, I said that let me re-clarify for you, Council President.
Please explain.
So the budget's in serious trouble, folks. We're drawing more and more from our surplus every year. We took $2.3 million last year, we're proposing 2.5. We lost $500,000 in non-tax revenue this year. We're increasing your taxes because we don't have the money. We don't misappropriate. We do not have a spending problem in town. Spending is kept very flat, but we're losing revenue every year. And in a year when we're raising taxes, we're losing revenue. I just don't think it's responsible to be giving free memberships away to anybody.
Well, can I ask another question?
So you can ask any question you want, but it's not
Yes,
going to change my
actually, I would.
opinion.
We had a $219,000 miss by your team.
A what?
A $219,000 miss because of the sewer upcharge, because we didn't have a chance to go after an appeal. Can you comment on that since, according to...
I'm the only one up here fighting the sewer authority. What are you talking about? I want to start finding the sewer authority. Let's not forget the misses. Their H2S levels that they're recording every day. Let's start our own recordings every time they're one standard deviation above median. Let's start finding them. Let's make it a profit share. Let's take they're bringing $16 million a year in. Let's take half of that if we have to deal with the offset. That's a great recommendation. If you want to talk about the sewer authority, let's talk about that, not the fact that they raised our bill. And now you're going to try to hit me with some, we all spoke about the increase. If you knew then that there was an ability for us to appeal, you should have raised your voice then.
I didn't get anything from you or the team until it was too late.
All right. For everyone who's here, I apologize. It's my fault, apparently. The increase for the sewer authority, the fact that we're paying that bill is my fault. I apologize. Does that help?
No.
Okay.
Did anybody figure out what the charge would be to have all the employees come to the pool? Or that wasn't?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we honestly just don't know what that impact is because we don't know who would be attending, what memberships we would potentially lose with its impact. So we honestly just don't have that data.
Do we know what percent of the DPW is on the fire department that already gets that existing?
We would have to find that out for you.
So that would be a moot point.
3 people.
If they're already currently getting that service, you're only looking at the police department and those members of the council or administrative staff that would want to use it. We asked for a number. I thought that was going to be the point, that there was going to be a number before we made a change.
We just don't know who would join and who wouldn't, I guess, at that point. We could look at the volunteer members that already receive it and come up with that number for you.
Anyone else? So you're going to put...
If we edit it, does it still make it in time?
The removal of this fringe benefit, you could vote to remove that tonight and still have the public hearing. That would not be a substantial change to this, like, 4-page ordinance or whatever.
Do you want to do that? What's everyone's pleasure?
I'd like to remove that ordinance, that line from the ordinance and vote as the rest of it is.
And review it later on? Is that what you want to do?
Correct.
And review it later on?
Well, if,
Or no,
I
just
want
get rid of
to see, actually, it kind of depends on what the rest of the vote is on the budget. and how we're looking there. If we're going to raise any other sources or raise the budget at all, there's zero chance that I would vote for any more dollars to be spent, because it's already a higher increase than I want to do.
Okay.
Do we have a second to remove that?
We have a
Right?
motion by, yeah?
I just want to clarify, is
Just-
the amendment to remove section M in its entirety?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
The original volunteer fire department and Wallback, that stays. That's
Right.
That's a different number.
That was
So-
different, that was line L, I believe.
But yeah, okay. I just wanted to clarify which.
So I have a motion by Joe to remove M,
And second by Katie.
second by Katie. Okay, thank you.
Clerk, take the roll.
No, on removal of that?
Yes.
And then we're going to open the public hearing?
Yep.
Correct. Okay. Ms. Saracola Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Now, anybody from the public would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read, please come to the microphone and state your name just.
Good evening. My name is Maureen Daniels. I'm the author of the previously circulated comment, and I'll subside on how Section M got in to the draft, but reduce my comments to just a single one. I want to amplify my opinion that Section M should in fact be removed from the proposed ordinance. But I think that earlier, I think the questions about the cost or the numbers is actually the wrong question. I think the real question is why we would extend exemptions in a way that equates the volunteer work, the community service work done by Wolvac and the volunteer fire department with salaried positions at the borough. I certainly am not unappreciative of the work that the municipal employees of the borough do on our behalf. But I also believe that all work is good work. And I think that the salaries of the employees put them on an equal footing with the other working families of the borough, and as such should decide for themselves whether they care to be members of the pool or not. And I think that other than the specified volunteers found elsewhere in the ordinance, that all of us should pay to use the pool. So the question about the cost of it, the extension of the benefit, and what it means budget-wise, I think is fundamentally the wrong question. Salaries distinguish you from volunteers, and that matters. That's it. See, it was a lot longer at first.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I close the public's comments, and I ask for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading and that the clerk be authorized to advertise in the local legal newspapers as required by law. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Katie Saracola Drake, second by Mr. Martinello. Clerk, take the roll.
Ms. Saracola Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Okay, we have a couple of introduction of ordinances. Would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2025-03?
Ordinance number 2025-03, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery, new communication and signal systems equipment, new information technology and telecommunication equipment, new additional furnishings, and a new automotive vehicle, including original apparatus and equipment in, by, and for the Borough of Waldeck and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $2,270,000 to pay the cost thereof, to appropriate Borough Open Space Trust Fund monies and state and county grants, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
A motion in order to move and pass, motion and a second is in order to move and pass this ordinance on first reading, and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be reached. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Mark Raimondo, second by Michelle. On the question, anyone?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just comment, this is our general capital bond ordinance on for introduction. Kind of outlines all the equipment we're looking to get, which includes various things like HVAC, playground improvements, IT, our road program. So if anyone has any questions, be happy to answer.
Anyone else? Clerk, take the roll.
Ms. Serola Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2025-04?
Ordinance number 2025-04, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery in, by, and for the water utility of the Borough of Waldwick in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $1,120,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
A motion and a second is in order to move and pass this ordinance on first reading, and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be reached. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Mrs. Weber, second by Mr. Martinello. On the question. You're on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Similar to the previous one, this is specifically for our water capital. So various projects include, we doubled our infrastructure improvement line, some well rehabs, like electrical upgrades, and leak detection throughout the borough. So some good equipment, good projects in this one.
Anyone else? Clerk, take the roll.
Ms. Serola Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Clerk, kindly read ordinance number 2025-05.
Ordinance number 2025-05, Borough of Waldeck, Bergen County, New Jersey, calendar year 2025 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget cost of living allowance and to establish a cap bank pursuant to NJSA 48:4-45.14.
A motion and a second is in order to pass this ordinance on first reading, and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be reached. Motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Martinello, second by Mr. Ritchie. Anyone on the question? You good? You're on? The last one.
For the, sorry, the cap bank. No, actually, I don't know if, Colleen, you want to come up and kind of explain this one in a little bit more detail?
This one's always a fun one to try and explain. In regard to the municipal budgets, there's a New Jersey law dating back to 2004, which limits municipalities to a 2.5% appropriation increase or the cost of living, whichever is less. This year, the cost of living is set at 2.5%. However, governing bodies can authorize an ordinance to increase it to 3.5% over the previous year's final appropriations. This ordinance gives the governing body the ability to allow for a 3.5% calculation, and whatever is not used can be banked and carried over to the next 2 years for unplanned events. So it's kind of like an insurance policy. We don't always use it, but we're building it so that it's there if we need it. The 3.5% increase over last year's appropriation would amount to an increase of about $380,000, as opposed to $271,000 for a 2.5%. So it's about 100 and something, difference. But again, it's an insurance policy. You don't use it unless you need it.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
Clerk, take the roll.
Ms. Serola Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll be talking about the 225 municipal budget. A motion and a second is in order to pass this ordinance on first reading, and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers as required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be reached. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Mr. Ritchie, second by Mr. Martinello.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll kind of go through the highlights here and then take questions and comments from the council. Just want to talk a little bit about the process for developing the budget. So, you know, we're at our point right now for 2025, but we're already looking towards 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. We're looking 5-10 years out every single day when we start planning these projects. So we have input from the council, the residents, and our department heads throughout the year. We're constantly communicating with each other and evaluating the needs of the community. So we'll start with that. It's a long project to get to this point. This year presented us with a lot of challenges. Obviously, everyone's feeling increased costs, even at home in your own pocket. So we also feel those same increases. So we have to try and balance that out with our needs. So, you know, it can be difficult because we do have kind of flat revenues. You know, local governments really aren't in the business of making money like a private business necessarily, but we do have ways to bring in money. So those revenues help offset our expenditures. So we did see some major increases in some salary and wages, mainly in police department and DPW due to some contractual items. The sewer authority has been talked about, so we did see a big increase with that. That was about 1 tax point, so 1% on the increase that we're proposing about. Our debt service went up, our insurance costs skyrocketed. I'm sure everybody's seen in the news, our health benefits plan has been double-digit increases for the past couple years, and there's no stopping in sight, so that's been a struggle. The pension system, our pension costs, Social Security, and another big one is the solid waste collection, which is also contractual. So it's important to note that all these are critical to maintaining a high level of service for the community. So, you know, we've really take a hard look at our operating budget, and I think over the past, you know, several years, the council and previous administrations have done a really good job at kind of cutting out any fluff that's in there. So, you know, we're pretty thin with our operating budget. A lot of the fluff has been eliminated. So everything that we are presenting is, we feel, a necessity to run the town. These increases do actually include a new officer in the police department. So the goal there is to actually create a traffic safety bureau within the police department, and we feel an additional officer will help us get to that point. It does include 2 special law enforcement officers for the schools, and it also incorporates increased utility bills, which I'm sure a lot of people have been reading about in the news too. So some significant increases there. We also put in there, one of the reasons PD is up is a police records clerk. That's a new position that would help them process OPRA requests. So we're actually looking at that as a possible new revenue stream or an offset to cover that position, because we can actually charge fees for those OPRA requests, which we're currently not doing right now because we have our police officers doing that. In addition to the increases mentioned, we also were not able to anticipate some large revenue sources from last year. One is the American Rescue Plan money. So that was in the amount of, you know, a grant offset in the amount of over $1 million, $1,057,000. And there's also a state municipal relief program in the amount of $257,000 that was realized the past couple years, but that went away this year. We also had some things like a tax appeal settlement that we were receiving regular monthly payments on last year for about $110,000. We were not able to receive that this year. We were able to account for 2 months, but that's now gone also. So seeing that situation, when we rolled everything up, you know, we were facing a pretty significant increase. So it forced us, you know, staff, we went back, we had a good team with our auditor. We met with department heads again, went back to operating and tried to thin things out where we could. We did make some cuts to some areas like codification, a couple buffers in our group insurance, you know, things like pool paint, some of our lawn maintenance, some equipment lines, you know, a buffer that we like to have in some of our utilities. So we did make cuts there to try and get us to this point. But you will see, you know, we are back with an increase to about 3.47%. This does break down to be about $79 per average homeowner here in Waldwick. And if you look at that even farther, it's about $6.58 per month. So given all that, we do feel it's a pretty fair presentation, so that is our request to the council that's before you tonight. And I just want to note that, you know, we have some really good capital projects lined up. Working with staff, we've identified some big areas. Obviously, everyone knows we need some water infrastructure improvements, so we are planning to tackle that head on. We have some big numbers dedicated to that. We also have, again, an aggressive road paving program, so we're looking to get that off the ground. And we are utilizing some Department of Transportation grants to totally reconstruct some other streets and focus on drainage on some of those, on Schuler Avenue specifically. So that's kind of where we're at. If anyone has any questions, comments?
Could I just ask one question, then you could go?
Absolutely. Yep.
Next year, are we working on I&I? Because that helps us a lot with the sewer bill.
Yes, so that is actually one thing important to note is I&I we are working on. We've talked with the Sewer Authority about that. I know they were doing their own study.
Right.
We're going to kind of partner with them and do our own study also here throughout town.
Good.
And also, we are working on a water rate study through our auditors, and they have an expert on there who actually does calculations for other sewer authorities, so we're going to tap, you know, into his brain over the next couple weeks as we finalize that water rate study and see what could be done there.
Okay, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yeah, let me first, I just want to thank everyone who really put this together, Steve, Colleen, Tatiana, Kelly, the whole council, everybody. I mean, last year was my first year on leading finance committee. It was Steve's first year as administrator in town. We were kind of thrust into it. It was organized chaos, but we got through it. This year felt a lot smoother. I think we were getting a better handle on everything, so I really appreciate that. It was good that it was smoother because it was a much more difficult year. And I think I respectfully see things just a little bit differently than Steve. I think the borough, current and past councils have done a really nice job controlling costs. If you look over the last 10 years, it's like 2% roughly. So I never thought that this borough had a spending problem. This year we cut our capital budget by more than half, I think, as well. We brought it from 4 million roughly down to below 2. So I think everyone does a really good job of you know, tightening things up and looking at, you know, providing the services in town that we need, but nothing more. But I do think our biggest issue is that we rely too much on the residents, and we're increasing taxes. Where if you look over that same period at non-tax revenue, things like fees that we bring in to the borough. If you look at grants, it's been flat at like between 3.9 million and 4.6 million. It fluctuates up and down over 10 years. With all this inflation, we haven't been able to increase that revenue. We did a revaluation last year, and that certainly helped. But if you look at the net valuation of properties in town, all this information is available online, by the way, that also remains flat. So, every time, even if it's a minor increase, a couple percent, right, in all of these line items Steve mentioned that we, by and large, have no control over, we have to put that on you. We have to put that on us, all of us, right, as taxpayers. So I really do believe that we need to get very serious about increasing that tax base with new ratables. I think that we need to get more creative at bringing in non-tax revenue. I do think we need to start thinking like as a business, because we may not want to make profit, but we need to increase these other sources of revenue, or it's going to get very bad. We're using $2.5 million from surplus to balance this year's budget. That's up from, I think, 2.2 last year. The last balance that we had was like around 7 million. So you can all do the math. We're going to run out of surplus, and then we're going to have a budget gap of more than $2.5 million. And what will happen? It's either coming to all of us in the form of a new tax increase, or we're going to have to cut $2.5 million out of this budget. It's going to be a very bad day. So we have to get more aggressive, and that's why I think I continue to push on some of these. I know it's annoying, and I know that it can it can seem a tad much, but we really need to bring more money into town. So that being said, I will vote to pass this. I don't love the tax increase, but I don't think we have a spending issue, and we need to continue creating these services for folks in town. But man, we've got to address this very, very quickly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I know you've been waiting. He's been waiting.
That's fine.
Thank you. I hate tax increases. You know, number one, just everyone knows that. Just,
We're going to the accountant.
yeah, right. But there are things in this budget that the residents are asking for. The safety officers at the schools, the additional officer to help with traffic safety. Those are things right there that add a significant point to the budget. Would we be able to keep this at a 1%? Sure, but we'd have to cut all that stuff out. We'd have to not include that. We'd have to remove all that extra things that we're trying to provide for the town. And there's only one other way to do it, is raise the tax a little bit. Colleen, maybe you could talk a little bit more about the surplus and what your prediction is for the next few years if we don't bring in some more revenue somewhere. I'd be happy to hear that from you. But yeah, I think we have to support it because we want these extra things. We've heard from the residents. The Councilwoman Weber and Councilman Raimondo has been sitting on the Board of Education committee on safety, and I think those guys want those SLEOs, right? That's what they wanted to do. Want to add that in. The town's asking for it. The traffic safety comes up every meeting. I don't know how else we don't pass that for the town. And we're also trying to give our employees in the town a raise this year, right? So we put that in as part of the budget. We had the increase for DPW and police department for contractual raises. These are things that are pretty much out of our control.
Hey, anyone else? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got one question regarding the aid and the grants. When do we know when we're not getting those dollars? Is it in January? Is it when you start the budget talks in November? Is it mid-year? When are we made aware of that?
So the municipal relief one, we weren't made aware until we had our first meeting with the auditor, actually. So we had originally accounted for that, but he told us, yeah, that was just kind of a one-time hit for 2 or 3 years, I think, and then that one went away. So yeah, that was actually news to us, so it created even more of a hole we were trying to recover. The ARP, again, we knew it was floating out there. We had allocated that to our bond ordinances last year. So at that point, I'd say towards the end of the year, but again, we didn't really know how it was going to be taken in or taken into account until we met with the auditor.
So moving forward, those dollars are not even in play?
Those are those are completely out of play. So, you're looking at, $1.3 million.
Fall for next year.
Right.
Anyone else? Yes.
I'd like to agree with Councilman Martinello's comment that I also hate tax increases. I think my first year on council, I was the only person to vote no on like a 1% increase. So I'd like to also touch on the fact that the reason, or part of the reason why we're so, outspoken about redeveloping the downtown and looking at where we can bring in revenue is because of the situation that we're in with our budget. So I'd rather get new revenue from people that have it than be pushing those increases on you guys. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Clerk, take the roll.
I need a motion and a second.
We did. Did I do it?
No.
Yeah, I did. Then it said Mike and Joe. Was it?
So this is,
Mike and Joe.
this is Resolution 2025-117, which is the, 116, which is the introduction to the budget.
Right.
Okay. I'm sorry, I do. I was on the wrong one. I'm so sorry.
Quite all right.
So I have Mike and Joe. Okay, ready? Ms. Sarah Coldrake?
Yes.
Mr. Martinello?
Yes.
Mr. Raimondo?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber? Sorry
Yes.
about that.
It's okay.
I went ahead of myself.
That's okay. Anyone on the council have any unfinished business? Yes.
I do, and I apologize. There's a few things. So I was just curious where things stood with the redevelopment feedback, and can we start having a conversation about what we want downtown?
Yeah, so I pretty much have comments from everybody. We're going to try and, now that we're in a better spot with the budget, try and wrap that all together. And maybe, I guess I would ask if we want to have a closed session discussion, or, I could send out all those comments first, kind of try and capture everything as best I can, let everyone digest that, come back with feedback, and then maybe we take that to the next step.
Closed session's fine. We can do that at the next meeting?
If everybody wants to go that path, I could have everybody's comments prepared, but I leave that up to everybody.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the same topic, I know of a developer that is interested in the Rite Aid property. We have condemnation power of that property, so I was wondering if I could connect this person with Craig, have them come in, give a presentation. If nothing else, it'll get the folks who own the property maybe moving on presenting something themselves, because, we got to kind of create some FOMO here, or some fear that they're going to miss out on an opportunity, or we're just going to continue looking at that empty lot. And I don't know, I went in there for deodorant, there was nothing. So everyone keeps telling me there's things back in that Rite Aid, but there's nothing there. What do you all think? Would you be willing, if I could connect Craig with this? I have no personal relationship with this person. I know the attorney who represents them, and he reached out and said, hey, they'd love to present to the council. I said, I'll pass it on.
May we ask who the attorney is?
What?
May we ask who the attorney is?
Do I have to? I guess I can. It's Matt Gilson.
Interesting.
What's interesting?
It's interesting. That's all I
Yeah,
said.
he represents a lot of land use stuff. He works for a big land use law firm. So, so I'd be more than happy to make that introduction. And, we're not obliged to do anything, but at least we can start hearing some ideas.
Just keep us informed.
Yeah, and just on that too, I spoke about the other one, and hopefully maybe at the second meeting in April, we'll have the other attorney who had a proposal that we had spoken about before for the,
Harrison?
I'm drawing a blank.
Harrison? No.
Durante?
Yeah, the one that, yeah, Rocket. Durant, yeah.
Rocket.
So they,
Stood up last time.
they're probably looking for April 29th, yes, exactly.
Got stood up.
Yeah, and I think on that, one thing that we should do is recruit developers. And I think we should meet with as many as possible. We should put a package together, put an RFP out there. We should get as many people competing for this space so that we have a little bit more of a say in what goes there. If we, I think the biggest problem with the one property, we were obviously, there were a few of us who were seeing things a little bit differently. I think the biggest issue with that was not that we disagreed. I think we should disagree. It was that we had one project to choose from. So we really didn't have a whole lot of leverage there. And we were going to either continue looking at empty lots or the project that was proposed. So I think this time around with these other projects, the more options we have, I think the better we'll be able to find a middle ground for all of us. So I advocate for the recruitment and the meeting with as many of these people as possible.
So you'll work on that? Okay.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor.
Any other unfinished business from anybody? Any other?
I have just a few other things, sorry. So, and I'll try to be quick. On the sewer authority, so I know that they are measuring H2S. Do we have an idea of when they'll be releasing those readings to us?
Didn't they say after a month?
Yeah.
They're going to do it for a month, and they're going to get the data in a month, and then they're going to give it to us.
Okay,
So it's 30 to 60 days.
Yeah. So I was just, again, I said it earlier, but I'm wondering if we can't start taking our own readings and creating an ordinance where if they're one standard deviation above, we start finding them. Maybe that's what gets them moving, because I think that if they're measuring, we should also measure.
Can we do that, Greg? I don't know how.
Yeah, I would have to look into that, to be completely honest. I'd have to look into that because I know that they're extensively regulated by the DEP.
Yeah.
So there might be a preemption issue, but I can definitely look into that and advise the council.
Do we have the equipment?
No, we would have to buy it. We would have to buy
We
it.
have to spend money.
We would have to spend money, but I promise you, we would be making it. As I said, they make $16 million a year. So, if we were to charge them if we were to fine them excessively, half of their revenue for an hour, right? That's a lot of money to us, and maybe it would offset the cost, but take care of the problem, and it's a revenue stream.
I'm curious, and maybe Eric has the answer when he comes up later. Since they started monitoring, has the smell changed at all? I'm just curious.
I didn't notice it. still notice it.
Oh, yeah.
No
Okay.
change. Yeah.
Because I'm not close to that area anymore, so I don't smell it as much. So I'm just curious if,
It gets really bad at around 8 o'clock at night. When I go for walks around Richard Drive with all my neighbors, we all smell it. And that is, I think they're only measuring from 3 to 7, right? So that falls outside the window of when they're doing the measurements. So I don't know if that's a coincidence or what, but at nights and after the long weekend, on Monday mornings, like it gets really bad. Okay, one more, sorry. And I missed this at the last meeting. So we discussed potentially speaking with the police about expanding that traffic study. And I just was curious if there was an update on what their feedback was.
None yet, but we do have a follow-up meeting on Monday with a traffic engineer representative from Boswell, so we could try and, get more of a plan and some feedback together for you.
Yeah, I think that would be great if we could accelerate that, because I used the walkways this weekend. It was nice. The car stopped. It was kind of hard to see the lights. I don't know if when we purchased other ones in other places of town, if the yellow on yellow is the most effective during the day. It was kind of hard to see, but after 3 or 4 cars came by, one finally stopped, so it does work.
And just to note too on those, we're looking actually to pair them with rumble strips, so painted rumble strips, maybe 2 sets. So that's what we're going to be talking about with the traffic engineer, and additional signage before you actually approach the intersection. So everything together, we hope will really calm traffic.
I have one item. Last time when Mr. Mayor volunteered me to wear the dog ears for his dog park at the new Wyckoff facility over there, the Wyckoff Avenue facility.
I got it.
Did we get any, can we include that in our next closed session too, to talk about what we want to do and plans for that? Because I want to put that in conjunction with the redevelopment plans, so that one, either maybe we can get community aid from one of them, and 2, as we are developing, we can make sure that the residents know we're opening green space for them too. It's very important to me.
Yeah, if everyone agrees, I think that'd be helpful.
Definitely.
Good. Anyone else? New business? Old business, new business, nothing? Okay, public's comments. Anybody from the public would like to comment, please come up. Just state your name for the record.
Hi, everybody.
You, Tom.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Tom McCormick. I'm really excited to be here. I work with the Environmental Advisory Committee. I'm the executive director. So for the open space, we would love to be more involved with the decision-making in that, and I just want to make sure that we put ourselves out there for that, because we would love to.
You and the access for all of you, all involved.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And then something we would like to come as a group and present to you guys some of the things that we're working on. So if during one of your meetings we could get on the schedule, Kelly, right? I have to talk to you? Okay, perfect. I'll do that and follow up. We would just love to come and tell you what we're doing, what we're thinking, and what we need, and what Mark is helping us do. So we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we want to learn how to use that for our meetings too. I'll come in on a weekday. We don't have to do that now. It's
Gotta
okay.
speak to the 2 bosses.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thanks, Tom.
Anyone else?
Eric Laporta. I got a couple of questions. Why does the town sub out so much work? That's number one. Lawn maintenance, fertilizing, mulch from downs. I think we could say drainage, if they have to repair the sewers. J. Fletcher Kramer does it. They got to charge the town. We have the gentleman in this town who can do that. And I think we could save a couple bucks that way. That's just, an opinion. Regarding the sewer authority, the past week, 10 days, there's gentlemen there, correct, taking air samples. However, when I go to dialysis at 5 o'clock in the morning, now it's starting to get the last 3 times. And I've called the DEP, and they're not going to get anybody out there at 5 o'clock in the morning. And the stench has been there last Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and this past Monday was the worst, just getting out. Like I said, we do see a gentleman there in their truck, maybe 3 o'clock till 6, we talked to them. He says, how do you expect me to smell this? I work here all day. That's exactly what the gentleman said. Another one said, well, to me, it smells like somebody's having a barbecue, which was very different. And another guy said, well, I just ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I can't smell anything. So, there's conflicting reports that I'm sure the council's going to get, and that what we hear on our street. He does not go to any other street. We're by the ambulance corps. He doesn't go on Stevens Lane. He doesn't go on Dow. He just comes there, So it's something that, is very, very different. But like 5 o'clock in the morning, it's horrible.
I'll reach out to John DeNubio tomorrow morning and
All right.
tell him about what these men were saying to you and that they don't go anywhere else but your house.
I've only seen him, I've never seen him go down Stevens Lane.
Okay.
They
I'll
do
tell him.
park by the firehouse. Thank you.
5 o'clock. Okay, great. I'll let them know.
Hey, Steve, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Since you've instituted the online complaint, for lack of a better term, have we seen any trends from the analytics as to certain times that people are noticing these off notes?
So for the odor complaint form that we
Yes.
were working with, we have not pushed that out yet. We've been
Thank you.
working with the sewer authority and directing people to call their hotline, which now goes directly to a worker on
Yeah,
site.
what happens is during the daytime, DeNubio gets the emails or the phone calls, and then after hours, there's a woman that gets all the phone calls. But I tomorrow morning, because he knows I'm going to be calling him, tomorrow morning I will question him about all the stuff that was brought to our attention tonight.
Mr. Mayor, if I...
Sure,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to comment on the other portion of Mr. Laporta's.
absolutely.
So I will say thank you for bringing that up. Our DPW does do a lot. There are some things that get contracted out, specifically the lawn maintenance that I referred to before. It was actually fertilization, which does require a pesticide license. So that is something we're looking into. We've actually met with the DPW staff to see if people would be interested in pursuing that route. So right now, we just don't have anyone licensed to do that. It is a difficult one to obtain. So that's just one example. They do all the catch basin repair work, sewers. The drainage that I referred to is actually part of a larger road reconstruction project. So that's just incorporated in that project. But they will do, minor drainage and grading and things like that.
Anyone else from the public?
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry.
when you speak to Mr. DeNubio tomorrow, can you ask him if in the report that they're going to send, if it's going to have like on the dates, like this date, we were there, on this location, this date with the readings?
Okay.
How specific it is, I guess, is really
You want to know what the data's
the
going to be
overall
like?
question.
Right,
Yeah, I
okay.
think also what is their baseline? So
Right.
you can't baseline Waldwick, right? So if they're going to be taking readings from the surrounding towns and getting what that is, I think could be interesting.
Baseline. Okay, got it. Yes, sir.
Don't get scared. My printer broke. I had something prepared, and it got printed last minute. Don't worry, Joe. I'll get you out of here soon. No, I need the glasses. Hold on.
Put the glasses on.
There, I got it. Thank you. Okay. Hi, board members. My name is Sergio Scardino. I reside at 33 John Dow Ave. You may or may not remember me from the council meeting that was held on January 23rd of last year. It's been a little over a year since I presented the issue of light pollution and light trespass in my neighborhood. I approached this podium to tell you about my neighbor who installed a stadium light to support his auto business, for which he has a sign hanging on his residence. After presenting my situation to the council, the mayor asked if the council could get the building inspector to investigate the issue. He came out. What also came out of that meeting and in emails, or after that meeting in emails, was an acknowledgement that our town's lighting ordinance needed to be updated for the widely available stadium lighting that you can purchase anywhere. I was told in the email the light ordinance would be reviewed and updated in April, and work was already underway to review what other towns had on this subject. Okay, and it's now a year later, and I haven't seen a new ordinance posted online. I've screen captured, what I had back last year to what I have this year, in March. There's no difference. Regarding the light, the building inspector sent a letter to the the owners, right, to remediate the issue, but the situation is really no better. In the weeks leading up to the inspector reviewing the adjusted light, my neighbor was using a dimmer, so I doubt even if the inspector, and maybe he got duped by it. I don't know how it's approved, to be honest with you. What's even better about this stadium light is after auto hours, it goes into a motion detector mode, and the gentleman has flags that blow all night, and so it goes on and off, right? So, needless to say, this lighting makes my neighborhood look like a used car lot, right? I'm surprised. Well, I guess one of the questions I'll have to follow up with the board is, like, how does somebody establish a new business in town, right? How do they get to put a new business in a residential area? Are there any checks and balances to that? I'm not happy with the inspector's sign-off, but again, the ordinance makes his decision very subjective, right? The ordinance, all it says is, any outdoor lighting shall be adequately shielded and directed away from adjoining properties. That's it. There's no talk about specification, lumen levels, height and placement, stadium lights. There's no mention of it. And I'd even welcome any of you who want to come to my home and sit in my living room after dusk to see what I'm dealing with. So, like, while the light is positioned very high, it doesn't trespass on my ground, but it passes over the ground into my house. So my last email with the board office was really, there was nothing more that could be done.
Who told you that? The building inspector?
No, I don't want to call out people on the
Okay,
council.
I got it.
I want to stay friendly with the council,
Of course,
if possible, but I can share emails with you if
That's
you're
okay.
interested.
I understand what you're talking about.
All right? So if there's nothing more to do, I think I'm left with only two options, right? And that's to file maybe a civil case against my neighbor, or two, the only thing I can think of is maybe publicizing the issue, all right, of light pollution in local towns with the local papers to draw some attention on my neighbor. I don't know if that's going to do anything, but maybe some council reads it and wants to take a case pro bono. I don't know.
Could we reach out to Joe and just figure out maybe changing this ordinance?
Yeah, we're already talking about it.
Why don't we get the budget through, and then after that, they're already looking into the ordinance to see changing it.
Okay. But does that help me after the fact, or is that grandfathered in? I don't know.
Well, you're the case study that we're going to use, so
Okay.
we'll take care of you,
All right.
as they say.
Okay. So you kind of stole the rest of my thunder here, so
And just do me a favor, send me the emails.
sure, will do. Yeah, so my final thing was asking for an update, but you beat me to it. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Daniels, I just want to say, just address you on one issue, and I'm not picking on you or nothing like that, but you said something about the employees, about they should not be going to the pool, not going to the pool, but they work and they get paid and all that stuff. Our DPW, there's 16 of them, and 14 of them are firemen. So the DPW is not going to cause any issues with this. I'm just want to let you know.
So they'll be exempt because
They're already exempt. They're already exempt. A lot of organizations, they double dip in the jobs and then also volunteers, and those people already get rewarded for what they do. I just want to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to go into close? Motion by Mike, second by Michelle. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?